Miss Natalie Hunter, a topic of Amnesty International address.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Damien, because I totally agree with the work that Damien does, and he's with the group that's Tiaka with us. So well done, Damien. Firstly, my name's Natalie Hunter. I'm with a group called Close Dundale. I'm also one of the founders of NAIDOC, the Aboriginal Legal Aid. I believe in justice, especially for our children. I've been highly involved in the child protection system, for possibly advocating at all levels, local, at the state, territory, national and international. Thank you, June. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the land that we stand on here today, the Larrakia people, and the great work that they've done today to put NAIDOC together. So thank you very much, Larrakia people. I'd like to acknowledge all the audience here today, and it's great to see such a wonderful NAIDOC day. I've never seen so many, and the theme here today is fantastic. So it's like get up, stand up and show up. But I'd like to also put behind that is speak up. I'm a Nigina woman from the Kimberley region of WA, of the Nigina and Jabba Jabba people. My family has resided on Larrakia country for well over 70 years. We call us our home here in Darwin, and our family's been highly involved in all areas of Aboriginal affairs. One of the areas that I'm very passionate about is Aboriginal children. One of the areas was child protection. I've been involved in that area since 2001 when I stepped in that space. We've had so many reviews, inquiries and a Royal Commission into Aboriginal children, and we're still no closer and getting the job done for our families. Today, I have a speech, and I'd like to present the speech to everybody, and I'd like the support of everybody around the closing of Dundale. NAIDOC Week has its origins in protest. It can be tracked back to 1938, days of mourning, when Aboriginal activists rallied against 150 years of colonisation and called for an end of oppression and protection policy. This history is significant as ever in the Northern Territory, where for the past 15 years Aboriginal rights have been disseminated under a brutal regime of control on a scale not seen since the protection of era. Our children are under attack, and it goes to show with the amount of children in the past policy of the bail condition for juvenile has increased drastically. They had been removed from their families at a rate higher than any time during the stolen generation era. They are being criminalised and incarceration more than ever before. There is no presumption on remand for months on end or forced to wear an ankle bracelet. These are dehumanising and traumatic formative experience for children. A police officer, a grown man on trial for murder for an Aboriginal young lad, walks free for 2 years with full pay. Yet we have children behind bars for neglecting to charge an ankle bracelet or just being at Casuarina shopping centre. Police are still using restraint chairs and spit hoods on children. These are Aboriginal children. We have a percentage of 99% of Aboriginal children incarcerated in Dundale. In Dundale, where they placed our children wasn't even suitable for adults, that they wanted to bulldoze it. But in a year's time, they had built it and put our children in there. It's Aboriginal children that sit in there. The government knows how harmful it is and has acted by capping the amount of compensation it can be directed to pay its victims. So that's the low act of this government. Rates of self-harm and suicide attempts in Dondale are skyrocketing. Our kids are crying out for help. It does show that our children are crying out for help for the damage that they're doing in the community. Our children are crying out for help, and it's failing on pathetic ears. Kids who speak out publicly about new justice system can find themselves in a hostile public eye with no little support. And that's what's been going on with our children. Where are the programs that are effective enough? Our children need healing, not incarceration. The number of children in detention continues to grow, but the number of our supporters does not. So we want your support. We're at Dondale every Friday at 5 o'clock. We're not going to stop until something is done by this government. This year's theme is Get Up, Stand Up and Show Up. It's about the fight for structural and institutional change. It's about defiance and continuity. The members of our group have been advocating on this since before the Royal Commission. I've been in this space for close to 20 years and nothing has changed. We will still keep showing up every week until something is done. Our kids need to know that someone gives a shit about them. We need you all to get behind this. This is crisis for our kids. What future does the next generation have if we can't assist them? And too many people are not even aware of what's going on in Dondale. We must acknowledge that racism and marginalisation are at the heart of this problem. If I was to ask any of this whole crowd here what really is happening in the what really happened in the NT intervention, which I would say is replical of cultural, political, economic and spiritual genocide, I doubt whether you could all say much about it. You wonder why truth-telling is so important. It's important for the culture of our mob. Most of this country don't even know the history as recent as 15 years ago. You don't know those facts, like how in Catherine, 78 children were taken in 6 weeks. What are we doing about that? If you took the time to talk to us, what really going on in the community and in Dondale, you would be totally shocked. We try our hardest to put it out in the public, but what we need now is the Aboriginal community to get behind us, because it's our children. I don't have children. I have lots of nieces and nephews that I call my children, but at the end of the day, it's not blaming the parents, it's the society that we've been raised in and we've been controlled by the government. The organisation that's supposed to deliver services has failed Aboriginal people. Non-Aboriginal NGOs receiving the fundings that community desperately need to help themselves. They are beneficials to our disempowerment. Their business models depend on maintaining the status quo. The status doesn't lie. The statistics doesn't lie. We have worse outcomes in life expectancy. Incarceration, suicide, family violence, employment and education, health and justice. These disadvantages are entrenched and synthetic. This is a torment of our powerlessness. Now, what our children are witnessing after 15 years is a slow burn. Remote communities are hurting 10 times more. I had the opportunity to travel to 40 odd remote communities in the last couple of years. I was absolutely disgusted in what I see. The first thing I notice is, what is there for our children? There is nothing. That's why they're in town, in the Darwin, Catherine, Tanner Creek and the Alice Springs area, leaving home, nothing to do in remote communities. I call it neglect and abuse by government. People are angry and hopeless and desperate, and the public are willfully ignorant. This regimen is a genocide, socio-political attack. It's happening now. It's not history, and it's been tolerated by this government. This is brutal at the first invasion, and our children have known nothing but this in their story lives. With the cards so profoundly stacked against them, many feel they have nothing to lose. The government is consistently demonstrating that it cannot be trusted to care for children. How many reports do we need to do in the Northern Territory? I've known of bringing them home, black deaths in custody, state of denial, the little children are sacred, the growing them strong, the Royal Commission, the Ombudsman's report. How many reports do we need to do before we address the issues of our children in the Northern Territory? It isn't about being tough on crime or soft on crime. It's about addressing the root of the cause of these children. They need help. They need therapeutic help, not locked up in a demolished prison. Thank you. Yes, they are locked up to 20 hours a day. A little child as young as 10 years old in a prison that has been demolished, that had rapists, murderers and pedophiles in that prison. And all I have to say is it makes no mistake that we know what they are. Only when Aboriginal people lead Aboriginal justice will we see positive, achievable change outlined in the Royal Commission. I think we've seen justice in this week with the appointment of David Woodruff to the bench. We're very proud of that, for David Woodruff. And I see justice coming in for our people. This is about taking back control of our lives and our children. We know the solutions and these problems, but we're blocked out of that by the NT government. They refuse to even allow us to have an Aboriginal standalone childcare service, as well as trying to create a peak across the Northern Territory for children. We don't have that, and they refuse to allow us to do that. Giving funding for Aboriginal issues to Aboriginal organisations, invest in community-led programs. That's also about self-determination, self-managed and self-control done our way. We need an Aboriginal controlled peak body for children. We need to make multiple disciplinary assessments and services for children with disability accesses across the Territory. Raise the age, we say, to 14 and not 10. Defund detention centre and invest in diversions, bail support and accommodation alternative sentencing options. Recognising the authority of elders and Aboriginal customary law. It worked in the past with circle sentencing and now it's been abolished by the government. This is about keeping Aboriginal kids connected to culture, community and country. It's about supporting communities to heal from the destruction and devastation of the past 15 years, to have the chance to raise their own children. It's truly about self-determination. Where is it for our mob? This situation will not improve without community support. The government is building on it even larger detention centre. Where? Across the road from the main prison. So they're grooming our kids to move across the road after they turn 18. That's a crying shame. It says in the Royal Commission to close down Dondale. They have ignored those recommendations, and a lot of those reports, those recommendations have never been addressed, and that's why our kids are running amok on the streets. This situation will not improve without community support. We're asking for the community to be supportive in this process. The government is building an even larger detention, is what I talked about, and there's no signs of slowing it, and its removal of children, nor its neglect and abuse of Aboriginal children in care. We must come together as a community to demand better. Please come to our panel discussion at Gamalanga Festival at the end of the month and be part of the conversation to finally address this issue. It's a free event and we'd like to see you all there. Please visit our store here today, and we're with Amnesty at the back. We'd like you to sign our petition to close Dondale. We want better services for our children, and even so they've done the wrong thing. Justice pays, but it's certainly not the way that they're being treated inside Dondale. We rally outside Dondale every Friday afternoon, and we'd like to see you turn up to that, because we want to make the move of shutting Dondale and having a therapeutic program for our children. They need healing. Their families need healing. Parents need healing as well. Please join us, please get up, stand up and show up for Aboriginal children. But one of the things I'd like to also state is about the effect of our children in Dondale. In the past year, self-harm and suicide rates across the Northern Territory Detention Centre. The rate of self-harm among children has increased by 400%. In one of the nation's most worst notorious youth justice centres. Children in the Territory, the data collected by the Northern Territory News show there were about 93 episodes of self-harm or suicide in the past 6 months. And 11 required children to be hospitalised. Do we sit back and watch that? Do we sit back and think that's okay? Because it's not. And we seriously need to do something about it. So I'm saying here today, I've been in this space for close to 20 years advocating for Aboriginal children. I'd like to see more black faces around. This could be your child. And you know, we tried very hard to keep our children out of the system, but it's not that easy, believe me. And we have positive parents around. So I'd like to close, and I'd like to thank everybody here today, and I'd like to see faces in support of closing Dondale. We want to do it in a very political manner, not an aggressive manner, that's for sure. We want to work with this government to make the change, and we're very glad that the Commonwealth government's in, and we have hope with our senators in place. Thank you very much, and thank you very much.
Thank you for those very inspiring